Okay, let's unpack this. We are about to deep dive into a vehicle that, for many people, sits firmly in the category of, an appliance.
Right, like a toaster or refrigerator.
Exactly. It's reliable, it's sensible, and maybe, historically speaking, a little beige. But to dismiss the Toyota Prius as merely practical is to miss one of the most significant and, I think, pivotal cultural and technological landmarks in modern automotive history.
Oh, for sure.
We're talking about a car that defines a major societal shift. I mean, it establishes this continuum of utility that stretches all the way back, maybe a century to the Model T, and brings us right up to the very urgent energy concerns of today.
And what's so fascinating here, and our source material frames this so well, is that the Prius isn't just a piece of engineering. It's seen as this essential high-impact chapter in the narrative history of the American experience.
Even though it's from a Japanese company.
Exactly. Even though it's from a Japanese company.
Yeah.
We use these classic vehicles, the Corvette, the Beetle, the Mustang, to track societal changes. There's this constant tension between the lure of freedom and horsepower and status, and then on the other side, the obligations of just basic, reliable utility.
And the Prius just lands right in the middle of that tension.
It arrives at a moment where utility, driven by technological ambition and this growing environmental necessity, it demanded a radical new expression. It really forced us to redefine what progress in a car actually looked like.
That is precisely our mission today.
Yeah.
We are going beyond the bumper sticker and all the stereotypes. We're going to examine the sheer audacity and, frankly, the corporate drama of the original concept.
Right.
We'll dedicate some serious time to breaking down its radical technological core, that hybrid synergy drive-in, simple, listener-friendly terms. Then we'll get into the measurable economic benefits it delivered and, of course, the intense cultural criticisms it faced.
The infamous smug cloud.
The smug cloud, exactly. We'll analyze why this hybrid machine remains so intensely relevant today, drawing on original specifications, modern design philosophy, and some deep cultural analysis to figure out, what the Prius really means for the future of driving.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture, the entire origin story of the Prius is just rooted in this mix of international competition, political snubs, and a truly perfect display of the law of unintended consequences.
Exactly. The starting gun for this whole global phenomenon wasn't fired by some visionary in Toyota's R&D department. It was fired completely unintentionally by Washington, D.C.
Right, in 1993.
In 1993, the U.S. government launches this massive collaborative initiative. It was called the Partnership for a New Generation of Vehicles, or PNGV.
And this was a serious consortium. It involved 8 different federal agencies, major research universities, and this is the critical part, Detroit's traditional big 3 car companies, Ford, General Motors, and Chrysler.
And the context for this is important. This is the early post-Cold War era. So there are these anxieties over environmental damage, but also the lingering threat of oil dependence, especially right after the Gulf War.
The memory of that was still very fresh.
Very fresh. And the goal was incredibly ambitious. They wanted to design and develop mass-market vehicles that could achieve 3 times the efficiency of the contemporary American car. The whole point was to drastically reduce America's reliance on foreign oil.
But here's the crucial detail, the real pivot point of the whole story.
This is
Foreign companies, including Toyota, were explicitly excluded from this partnership. It was designed to be an exclusive American club, right? It was aimed at finding an American solution to a global problem, protecting Detroit's interests and, boosting their technological edge.
And this is where that law of unintended consequences just kicks in with a vengeance, turning this, protectionist move into a catalyst for incredible innovation.
Absolutely. Being effectively shunned by Washington and Detroit, that acted as a powerful galvanizing motivator for Toyota. They saw the American ambition, they realized the global necessity for a car like this, and they just decided to launch their own alternative vehicle effort entirely independently.
It was a very deliberate strategic decision. It wasn't just about competing, it was about going it alone and actually beating the U.S. government's own goal.
The message couldn't have been clearer.
Yeah.
It was basically, if you won't let us play in your sandbox, we will build a better playground right next door.
And this strategic decision leads us to this unlikely but pivotal figure at the center of the revolution, Takeuchi Yamada. Our sources describe him as a short, soft-spoken Toyota lifer whose career trajectory had actually, up until that point seemed to have hit a ceiling, a bit of a dead end.
He was kind of stalled out.
Right, and he was then tasked with leading this internal make-or-break effort, which became known within Toyota as the G21 project. I mean, this was a Hail Mary pass, and Uchiyamada was the one holding the ball.
And his personal history offers this profound contrast to the vehicle he ended up pioneering. It's really incredible. Uchiyamada was born in 1946 in defeated post-war Japan. So he comes of age during Japan's miraculous economic resurgence.
And as a boy, he was mechanically fascinated, but his family couldn't afford those, ready-made kits that were popular in the West.
Right, the Revell models and all that.
Exactly. So he had to build his model cars by hand using whatever materials he could find, whatever he could scavenge.
And what's just absolutely poetic about this detail is the model he chose to build. The ultimate symbol of the wealth and power of the most powerful country on earth at the time.
The scale replica of a 1959 Cadillac.
Think about that for a moment. The 1959 Cadillac, designed by the iconic Harley Earl, represents the absolute zenith of American automotive excess.
Oh yeah, the fins, the chrome.
Massive V8 engines, chrome everywhere, these dramatic tail fins that were purely a stylistic flourish. It was a philosophy that prioritized status and horsepower over absolutely everything else. It was the antithesis of efficiency.
And the man who loved that expression of American swagger was now pioneering the most practical, efficient, anti-status vehicle you could possibly imagine.
The irony is it's perfect.
And here's where the historical timeline gets really sharp. Uchiyamada made his first trip to America in 1979. He was there to present a technical paper to the Society of Automotive Engineers, and he was just amazed by the sheer scale of America's multi-lane freeways and the vastness of the car culture.
And 1979, crucially, was an inflection point. Now, he couldn't have known it then, of course, but it was precisely the moment when Detroit's long dominance, the era symbolized by that 59 Cadillac, was beginning its precipitous decline.
Spurred on by the oil crisis.
The oil crisis, a rising awareness of quality control issues, and their Japanese competitors, including Toyota, were just beginning their remarkable slow-motion ascent.
So the engineer whose childhood dream car was the 59 Caddy became the very person whose work would signal the definitive end of that era of unchecked power and swagger.
And ushered in the age of calculated global efficiency. It's an incredible piece of cultural irony that just defines this entire story.
So when Uchiyamada first approached this G21 assignment, after that PNGV snub, his initial vision was, it was remarkably conservative, especially when you think about the final outcome.
Right. He wasn't aiming for a hybrid revolution right out of the gate. Not at all.
His goal was to achieve a significant, but a manageable improvement using existing, proven, conventional technology.
He was thinking incrementally.
Totally. He envisioned optimizing a highly efficient gasoline engine, mating it with an advanced transmission, using lightweight materials, sophisticated aerodynamics, all things they already knew how to do.
Right. By combining all those known existing elements, he calculated that they could produce a small car with gas mileage about 50% better than the Toyota Corolla, which was, their big seller.
And that strategy was super pragmatic. It would bring the car to market faster, more cheaply, and it would leverage Toyota's existing manufacturing expertise.
But this conservative approach was immediately challenged and completely derailed by the corporate mandate for revolution. This is where the story turns into some high-stakes corporate drama.
For sure. Toyota senior executives were just not satisfied with a mere 50% improvement. They saw the G21 project not just as a product development exercise, but as a symbolic global strategic weapon against their American rivals.
So they forced this outrageous mandate on Uchiyamada. They told him the G21 team must deliver double the gas mileage of the Corolla.
Double, not 50% better, 100% better.
Yeah. Our sources paint this picture of Uchiyamada's shock. They describe how he just blurted out, "That's outrageous," when the enormity of that challenge became clear. Double the mileage meant abandoning conventional wisdom entirely.
It was, in effect, an impossible goal using the methods he was planning on using.
And the pressure was just extreme. He was given a very clear ultimatum. Either you agree to achieve this impossible mandate, or you will be immediately sacked as the G21 team's chief engineer.
Yeah.
That extreme pressure did exactly what the executives intended it to do. It forced the radical technological leap. Instead of just optimizing a conventional engine, he was forced into developing a hybrid system.
So it wasn't genius born from a vacuum. It was survival, corporate style, driven by an almost impossible target.
Exactly. And Uchiyamada initially believed that even with an all-out effort, the car might be ready by like 1999.
But their engineers worked faster than that.
Fortunately for Toyota, yes. The Prius, the world's first mass-produced hybrid vehicle, made its global debut in Tokyo on October 14, 1997. It was an event designed to just shock the industry.
And Uchiyamada actually drove the first model, the NHW10, into a ballroom at the ANA Hotel with the then company president, Okuda, riding in the back seat. Can you imagine that today?
No, the PR would be a nightmare. But the immediate shock among the attending journalists was twofold. First, there was the futuristic, wedge-like design.
Right.
But second, and more profoundly, was the sheer silence.
The fact that it was quiet enough to drive indoors without choking the room in fumes was this visible, tangible symbol of what a hybrid car was capable of.
And then they dropped the headline number, which was truly staggering. Toyota claimed the car would achieve 66 miles per gallon.
Which was precisely double the Corolla's mileage. They hit the outrageous mandate.
They hit it. Now, it's vital for you, for our listeners, to understand the context of that number. This 66 mpg claim was based on the Japanese regulatory system at the time, the 1015 mode testing cycle. And that cycle was highly favorable to hybrid systems in these very controlled lab tests.
Indeed. When the car was eventually sold in the US, American regulators revised the measure methods to the more rigorous EPA standards, which account for a wider range of driving conditions: city, highway, high speed, acceleration, all of it.
And under American standards, the car was rated at just above 40 miles a gallon in combined city highway driving.
But even at 40 mpg, this was still a revolutionary achievement.
Oh, absolutely. Its fuel economy far exceeded that of any other car on the road at the time. It wasn't a matter of fudging numbers, it was just a matter of different testing methodologies.
And the promise of genuine, real-world utility and fuel economy, whether the label said 66 or 40, immediately positioned it as a world-changing vehicle. It continued that profound historical split in automotive philosophy, right?
Right. Prioritizing the practical and utilitarian, like the Model T or the VW Beetle.
Over the pretentious and stylish, like those 59 Cadillacs Uchiyamada once admired. The core identity of the car was set in stone right then. Efficiency first.
So to achieve that initial 66 mpg goal, which, as you said, forced the team away from just improving conventional tech, Uchiyamada's engineers poured over 80 different hybrid designs.
80! That is a truly massive amount of engineering effort aimed at solving a single complex problem.
It just highlights that the solution was so far from obvious. So for you, the listener, we need to kind of synthesize those 80 different designs into the basic architectures they explored. That's how you understand why Toyota's ultimate choice, what they branded Hybrid Synergy Drive, or HSD, was so innovative.
Okay, so the two main concepts are series versus parallel hybrids.
That's right.
Let's start with the series hybrids. This is probably the simplest concept to grasp.
It is. In a series system, the car is always powered by the electric motor. The gasoline engine is only there to act as a generator.
So it's like a train locomotive, right? The diesel engine doesn't directly drive the wheels, it powers a huge generator, and the electric motors are what actually drive the axles.
Perfect analogy. In a series car, the gas engine only kicks in to charge the batteries when they run low. It's a dedicated electric drive, with the gas engine acting purely as the backup power plant.
Okay, so then you have parallel hybrids.
Right. And this is where the system's more integrated. In a parallel architecture, the car can be powered directly by the gas engine, or by the electric motor, or by both power sources working together simultaneously.
So like a tandem bicycle with two sets of pedals. Sometimes only the front rider, the gas engine, is pedaling.
Yeah.
Sometimes only the rear rider, the electric motor. And sometimes they're both hammering away together.
Exactly. The critical insight here is that Toyota ultimately adopted this complex blend of these two ideas. The Hybrid Synergy Drive acts as both a series and a parallel system at the same time, thanks to one incredible piece of mechanical genius.
And this blend allows the system to maximize efficiency across every driving condition. From low-speed city traffic where pure electric is best, to high-speed highway cruising where the gas engine is most efficient.
Yet hard acceleration, where both systems blend their power together.
So what's the piece of genius? How does it do both?
The complex blend is made possible by what engineers call the power split device, which is essentially a planetary gear set. This is the secret heart of the Prius.
Okay, a planetary gear set. Break that down.
Imagine a central gear, that's the sun gear, surrounded by smaller planet gears, all interacting inside a larger ring gear. This one small, elegant gear set mechanically links the gasoline engine, the driving wheels, one electric motor that acts primarily as a generator, which they call MG1.
And a second, more powerful electric motor that primarily drives the wheels, MG2.
Exactly. This mechanical linkage allows the system to constantly and seamlessly distribute the engine's power in 3 directions. Some of it goes directly to the wheels, some of it goes to the generator, MG1, to produce electricity, and some of that electricity goes directly to the main motor, MG2, to assist the wheels.
It's like a continuous invisible dance happening under the hood.
It is. If you're coasting or braking, the wheels spin MG2 backward, turning it into a generator to recharge the battery. That's regenerative braking.
Which was a huge innovation in itself for a mass-market car.
Absolutely. If you're accelerating hard, the battery dumps energy into MG2 while the engine provides its peak power. If you're just cruising slowly through a parking lot, the gas engine might turn off completely, and MG2 just silently powers the wheels.
So the system is continuously, mechanically deciding the most efficient power route, and it's all hidden from the driver.
The driver just presses the pedal and goes. The car figures out the rest.
But the technology wasn't just this engine-motor relationship. They had this massive hurdle to overcome with the battery itself. Uchi Yamada had an absolute, non-negotiable insistence, a mandate that drove every single engineering decision. The battery had to last for the life of the car.
This wasn't just an engineering preference. I mean, it was a critical business decision born directly from the failures of early electric vehicles.
Right. Nobody would buy a Prius if they were facing the prospect of buying a new, super high-cost battery pack every few years. That had been the death blow for earlier efforts.
So the battery had to be reliable, durable, and essentially maintenance-free for 150, 200,000 miles.
Which meant the durability testing they did was just insane. Our sources detail the intense pressure on the engineering team. They had to develop these techniques to cram 10 years of durability testing into just a couple of years.
They were pushing the technology far, far beyond its known limits at the time.
And we know that the nickel metal hydride battery technology they selected had some specific vulnerabilities.
Oh yeah, particularly to extreme hot and cold temperatures. If the battery got too hot, its capacity and its lifespan would just plummet.
And these temperature sensitivities led to these now famous comic episodes that plagued the early prototype testing. Engineers had to manage the car's temperature with, almost ridiculous care.
There's one famous account of them having to specifically rig a prototype by parking it in the shade before a test drive on a hot summer day in Japan, just to make sure the battery was cool enough to perform optimally for the test.
It sounds so simple, but it was a huge problem. They had to test these batteries in environments ranging from the searing heat of Death Valley to the freezing cold of northern Minnesota, constantly battling the battery sensitivity.
But the outcome of that brutal testing was another leap in innovation. It forced Toyota to develop this highly sophisticated, multi-layered air cooling system. It specifically routes air from the passenger cabin to maintain the battery within its optimal temperature range.
And that solved the longevity problem that had crippled earlier battery designs.
It did. If they failed the battery, the entire concept failed. So this solution was just as crucial as the power split device.
So despite all this incredible hidden complexity they were mastering under the hood, the initial public perception in the late 90s and early 2000s just reflected how radical and confusing the concept really was.
Yeah, people just didn't get it at first.
To gauge American interest, Toyota sent 2 Priuses on a 16-city tour of the United States in early 1998. They showed it to journalists, academics, environmentalists.
And the most frequent, most revealing question they received time and time again was,
Where do you plug it in?
Where do you plug it in?
And that confusion is such a telling detail because it perfectly illustrates the cultural gap. People could easily grasp the concept of an electric car. You plug it into the wall. Or a gas car, you fill it up at the pump.
But they couldn't grasp the idea that the car was truly self-charging, that the regenerative braking system, recovering energy every time you slowed down, and the gasoline engine itself working through that power split device would keep the battery fully charged.
This self-sufficiency, born out of pure engineering necessity, was the core difference between the Prius and all the failed electric concepts that had come before. It eliminated the infrastructure hurdle entirely.
Moving from those lab promises to the real world, the genuine utility of the Prius quickly became evident, even when you used the more stringent American fuel economy standards.
Right, while the Japanese rating was that flashy 66 mpg, the American EPA regulators eventually rated the car consistently above 40 miles a gallon in that combined city highway driving.
And, as we already established, 40 mpg wasn't just slightly better. It far exceeded that of any other mass-market car on the road at the time.
It was a major, tangible leap in efficiency for everyday use. And that translates immediately into hundreds of dollars saved annually at the gas pump.
But the long-term benefit reinforces that crucial engineering decision Yamaha made about durability. The battery was explicitly designed to last the life of the car.
Which negated that major concern that had plagued earlier electric efforts, the high-cost battery replacement.
And it eliminated the paralyzing range anxiety that had killed GM's rival efforts. This unparalleled reliability and predictable long-term cost were the silent yet powerful selling points that really guaranteed the car's financial success later on.
It shifted the consumer focus from, is this green, to, wait, is this smart?
Exactly, from an ethical choice to a financial one.
And while the original first-generation models were truly minimalist, they were pure experiments in efficiency, the current iteration, based on the 2024 context from our sources, shows that the Prius has evolved significantly.
Oh, massively. It has integrated advanced comfort, safety, and connectivity features, all while resolutely retaining that core efficiency focus. The utility now includes what were, once considered luxury amenities.
Let's look at the snapshot of the 2024 model features, as detailed in the source material, just to see this evolution of utility. The starting price for the 2024 model at $31,625, that places it firmly in the competitive mainstream market.
It proves that hybrid technology has moved completely beyond being some niche environmental statement. It's just a normal car choice now.
And the focus is so heavily on integrated technology that reduces driver fatigue and enhances safety. We see features like full-speed range dynamic radar cruise control, DRCC, which doesn't just keep a set speed, but actively manages distance and speed in heavy traffic.
Then there's proximity key and push-button start features that just remove the friction from daily use. Little things that make life easier.
They've also integrated connectivity seamlessly into the modern driving experience. The car includes voice-activated automatic air conditioning, smart device remote engine start,
and subscription services like Wi-Fi Connect and Safety Connect. That Safety Connect service, offered for up to a 10-year trial, provides emergency assistance, which shows Toyota's continued commitment to safety and reliability that now goes way beyond just mechanical durability.
Of course, a mandatory backup camera is standard, integrating safety into basic maneuverability.
But the car hasn't forgotten its core job as a practical, usable vehicle.
No, the practical utility features are still there. You've got the folding cargo cover, dedicated cargo area concealed storage, and the utility is enhanced not just by electronics, but also by the underlying architecture.
Right. The latest generation is built on Toyota's highly rigid TNGA platform, which improves handling and safety. It's proof that the original utility concept has been modernized to meet 21st century performance and comfort standards.
So the evolution is crystal clear. It went from a pioneering, almost basic experiment in efficiency that sacrificed pretty much everything else
to a fully featured, technologically integrated car that just happens to still far exceed its peers in its primary mission, getting you from point A to point B reliably and cost-effectively.
This successful disruption, of course, naturally brings us to the inevitable, and I would argue hilarious cultural backlash that so often follows truly radical innovation.
Always happens.
Once the Prius achieved early commercial success, and more importantly, high visibility through Hollywood adoption, you had celebrities like Leonardo DiCaprio, Ed Begley Jr., and famously Larry David driving it everywhere on Curb Your Enthusiasm. It became more than a car. It became a symbol.
And that symbolism quickly attracted detractors. It all crystallized into that derisive nickname, the Pious.
The Pious.
It was a cultural critique that implied the drivers weren't just making a pragmatic car choice. They were flaunting the car as this visible sign of their moral, ethical, or environmental superiority. The utility was completely overshadowed by the perceived self-righteousness.
And the height of the anti-Prius backlash was, I think, perfectly encapsulated by the brilliant satire of that South Park episode.
Oh, that was a classic, a perfect cultural barometer.
This absurdist animated sitcom created a massive physical metaphor for the cultural resentment the car generated.
The premise was just fantastic. As Priuses became more and more popular in the fictional Colorado town, their drivers generated a huge, literal cloud of smug.
A weather system of smugness.
Exactly. And this local smug cloud then began to merge with two other massive, high-density smug clouds. one from the hyper-progressive bastion of San Francisco and another from Los Angeles.
Famously created by George Clooney's self-righteous acceptance speech at the Oscars that year.
That's the one. The show wasn't targeting the fuel economy itself, it was targeting the attitude. It highlighted the widespread perception that Prius owners were, and I'm quoting here, granola-fed dilettantes flaunting their Priuses as signs of moral superiority.
It just perfectly captured that feeling that this was a car purchased primarily to virtue signal rather than for the genuine utility it provided.
And that sentiment extended beyond just animated satire. It went into direct criticism about the car's lack of performance, its slightly alien design, and its overall image, particularly in relation to traditional concepts of automotive masculinity and power.
Our sources give us a great quote from a middle-aged mathematician in Virginia who bought his Prius back in 2003. He was initially pragmatic, drawn to the efficiency, but he became quickly turned off by the Hollywood hype. Because he didn't want people thinking he had become a mindless follower of some movie star. The car's underlying statement of utility was being completely eclipsed by its accidental statement of social posturing.
And the criticism regarding performance and image was perhaps most visceral when you consider drivers who were used to the Detroit ideal of a real vehicle, something big, loud, and dominant.
Like a truck or an SUV.
Exactly. Consider the anecdote of Scott Jackson, a former sport track driver. He admitted to having serious adjustment problems after switching to a Prius. He missed the feeling of superiority he got from looking down on other drivers from his lofty perch.
And then came the gut punch, quote. He, quote, grimaced when friends asked whether he was carrying a purse. Concluding, with a sigh of resignation, that the Prius isn't the most masculine vehicle on the planet.
And that comment goes right to the heart of the cultural tension. For a large segment of the American car-buying public, a vehicle should project power, size, self-sufficiency, not restraint and efficiency.
That quote perfectly encapsulates the historical battle in the auto industry we identified right at the start. This conflict between utility and prestige that has just played out repeatedly over the last century.
Absolutely. Recall the era of the tail-fin Cadillacs, which were designed entirely around style, status, and pretension. That philosophy stood in direct opposition to the utilitarian ethos of Henry Ford's Model T,
which offered basic, practical mobility and affordability, and it fundamentally eschewed status.
Later, the VW Beetle continued that tradition. It was often marketed with self-deprecating humor and gained this broad appeal precisely among those who chose to reject the bigger, flashier American cars.
And when muscle cars like the Pontiac GTO came along, designed to go faster, growl louder, and appeal to rebellion and excess,
they just reinforced the prestige side of that split. So the Prius, by its very design prioritizing efficiency, silent running, and longevity over engine noise and massive size, it firmly continued the tradition of utility over flash.
It was intentionally anti-prestige,
which made it an automatic target for those who valued the masculine image of American horsepower. The smug cloud was simply a social reaction to the success of a car that actively celebrated technological restraint over performance excess.
This cultural context is so vital when we compare the Prius to its key early competitor in the electric and alternative space, General Motors EV1.
Oh man. GM's experience provides a textbook example of why Toyota's strategic commitment to the hybrid approach was a stroke of absolute genius.
The EV1 was launched with all this fanfare, but it was ultimately killed by GM in 2003 after the company had wasted an estimated, $1 billion on its development?
$1 billion. And it was so ill-fated that Time magazine eventually named it one of the 50 worst cars of all time.
So what was the primary reason for its failure? It was market skepticism, driven by very practical limitations.
It was a technological and commercial flop because very few people wanted a vehicle that, quote, might run out of juice. And that's what established the concept of range anxiety in the popular consciousness.
The EV1's reliance purely on early-stage battery technology meant buyers faced not only the fear of being stranded, that range anxiety, but also the known problem of high replacement costs and extremely limited charging infrastructure.
And GM's decision to only lease the car rather than sell it just reinforced the public perception that the technology was experimental and unreliable.
And the company ended up deliberately crushing the majority of the cars, an act that further cemented its legacy as this automotive failure and, you could argue, set back the electric revolution by years. It became known as the EV killer.
All right. Now contrast that high-risk failure with the Toyota hybrid synergy drive. Toyota's self-charging hybrid design was the elegant, practical solution to GM's EV failure point.
By successfully pairing the electric motor with a highly efficient gasoline engine through that planetary gear set, the Prius eliminated range anxiety entirely.
The engine was there not just for occasional backup, it was an integral part of the self-sustaining system. It was capable of charging the battery while you were driving and delivering power in conjunction with the electric motor.
So the hybrid approach offered zero risk utility to the average driver. You only needed to treat the car like any other gasoline vehicle, fill it up and go.
This mechanical solution immediately separated the Prius from the EV1's high-risk, high-cost model. It was just a smarter bet.
And if we look purely at the price of efficiency, that original G21 mandate delivered an astronomical advantage over conventional vehicles.
Even using the stringent EPA ratings, the first-generation Prius achieved double the fuel economy of the popular Toyota Corolla. It demonstrated an immediate, tangible, and economically compelling efficiency advantage over standard petrol engines.
The initial design brief, which prioritized reliability and efficiency above all else, just set Toyota up for a long-term dominance in this space.
But maybe the most enduring legacy of the Prius, and the definitive answer to that whole pious satire, is the radical shift in buyer motivation that occurred as the car became more established and, crucially, as gasoline prices started to rise.
Right. Initially, the car was marketed and perceived as a statement, a purchase for the Sierra Club, for Hollywood, for the Larry David types.
But our sources note this critical turning point that occurred around the mid-2000s, coinciding with rising instability in global oil markets.
The Prius was turning a cultural corner. It was moving from a niche statement car to attracting buyers whose main motive was saving money, not saving the planet.
And this shift represents the ultimate validation of the engineering. The car's reliability, its proven battery longevity, and its superior fuel economy. It all transcended its environmental pedigree and appealed directly to the mass market concern of the family budget.
This critical cultural cornering proved that extreme efficiency was no longer just a luxury belief. It was a scalable, mass-market financial strategy powerful enough to overcome the image issues and the smug cloud satire.
The wallet ultimately triumphed over the image.
So we circle back to the central question. What does this all mean for the history of the automobile? The core reason for the Prius's lasting relevance, it seems, boils down entirely to economic utility.
It really does. It's the ultimate expression of that practical strain of automotive history, just updated for the 21st century.
We have the definitive anecdote of the Jackson family, which just perfectly illustrates this final economic appeal. They bought a Prius, which cost them about $30,000, so not a bargain car by any means.
That cheap, no.
But they found themselves, quote, saving about $350 a month on gasoline, which pretty much paid for the Prius.
And that is an unbeatable bottom line. That's the metric that matters most to the average consumer.
For those drivers outside the Hollywood or Sausalito bubble, the places where the smug cloud was perceived to be generated, the consistent verifiable savings quickly overcame any concerns about image, performance, or a perceived lack of masculinity.
The calculation became purely financial. This car puts money back in my pocket every single month.
So we can clearly define the ideal driver for the Prius based on the evidence. It's those who prioritize the family budget, long-term practicality, and documented cost savings over immediate performance, engine noise, or social image.
It is a choice based on calculated long-term economic utility, not on fleeting prestige.
And this leads us to the final synthesis, right? The overarching philosophical question that's posed by our source material. Does the driver's motive matter if the outcome is the same? If one driver buys a Prius to make an environmental statement, and another buys it because they calculate they will save $350 a month on gasoline, does the motive ultimately matter if the result, significantly reduced gasoline consumption and CO2 emissions, is achieved either way?
Ultimately, I think the answer is no. The genius of the Prius was proving that utility, when it's framed as verifiable economic savings and backed by uncompromising reliability, is a powerful enough incentive to drive massive global shifts in technology and consumption.
Even when you're battling decades of cultural attachment to horsepower and performance prestige.
Exactly. It's the ultimate victory of the spreadsheet over the tail fin.
So we've taken the deep dive today into the corporate drama of the G21 project, the daring mandate that forced the development of that revolutionary power split device.
The cultural embarrassment of the smug cloud satire, and the critical shift where the car transitioned from being an environmental statement to a verifiable economic hero.
So what's the final thought here?
My final provocative thought for you to consider is this. The Prius started as a technological challenge born from exclusion, a reaction to being intentionally shunned by American rivals. By overcoming the twin hurdles of battery longevity and range anxiety and creating a reliable, scalable, self-charging system, Toyota permanently shifted the focus of consumer value. They proved that calculated extreme fuel efficiency was a marketable commodity. They moved the goalposts away from engine horsepower and back towards the long-term calculated economic utility that was championed by early disruptors like the Model T.
So here's a question for you to mull over.
When you look at the specifications of any non-luxury car sold today, how many of those efficiency benchmarks, even for competitors, are still being judged against the standards that Prius set 2 decades ago? The ripple effect is just undeniable.
Absolutely, and thank you for providing the comprehensive source material for this deep dive. We'll catch you on the next one.